I've been debating whether or not to make this video for some time now, since it differs quite heavily to the rest of my content. However, I ultimately came to the decision after seeing just how many creators are being targeted in the same way I was even to this day, with a good amount of them even falling hook, line, and sinker. In today's video, I'm going to uncover one of the largest ongoing creator scams on YouTube, the idiotic yet hilarious measures these scammers take once they've been caught, and the shady truth behind one of the largest microphone brands on Amazon. Let me begin by stating that one of the main sources of income for creators are brand deals, where a brand will send a creator a product for free and in turn they will promote said product. If their audiences buy the product with their affiliate link, the creator will get a percentage of those sales. I'm sure you've all already noticed, but I have never promoted a product on my channel. That's not because I don't get any offers, but it's mainly because they don't align with my video ideas. Like, I'm not going to promote toilet paper on a video about shitty games, though I guess that would technically work. However, on the 6th of February, I received this email. Hello Shteve, it's Cantor Marquez. We are one of the distributors of TZAudio Products LLC. We have been following your videos for a while and really like them. Therefore, we would like to invite you to participate in the Talent Moment project. We will offer you a pro audio microphone. Extra costs are not covered. As compensation, it would be highly appreciated if you could use this mic to record about 5 minutes of something interesting. They would then attach an image of the microphone. Comparing this to the quadcast I currently use, you can see why I was a little excited. Not to mention that at the time, I think I only had about 5,000 subscribers. The only thought going through my head was that of excitement. I thought I was finally seeing the fruits of all my efforts, which is why I missed the two biggest red flags in the email. First are these words in parentheses, extra costs are not covered. I initially thought they were referring to shipping, but that was far from it. We'll touch on that in a second. Secondly was their attached image. You'd think a company would have an image of their product that they could just freely use at any time, instead of having to use an Amazon page? I don't know, but to me that looks kind of weird. I proceeded to their website, and the moment the page loaded, I immediately knew something was off. Why does their official company website look as if it's been created on Google Forms? Why do they have to explain how they are not a scam? What kind of company posts a list of known scammers? Keep that list in mind, by the way. We'll be going back to that in a second. Believe it or not, I still chose to ignore all these red flags, thinking that this was just their way of being transparent. The closing paragraph reiterates that although the microphone is free, they will not be covering all the fees. Clicking this link directs us to a step-by-step guide on how to claim our product. Apparently it's not as simple as here's my address, send it to me, the end. The first step just explains the expectations of the creator, not really much to note. The second step, however, we learned that our so-called free microphone isn't in fact free whatsoever. They want you to search their product on Amazon, making sure it's sold by these specific dealers, and then purchase it. After purchasing, you'll then have to send them your order ID along with your preferred method of payment in order to be reimbursed the first half of 70% of your cost. If that sounds confusing to you, do not worry. They also have an entire page dedicated to the math behind your reimbursement. Let's look at the US calculations here. If the price of the product is $350, you'll only be looking at getting back $245 after subtracting the Amazon and distributor service fee. These are the excluded costs they were referring to. Mind you, this doesn't even include shipping. This is just based off the retail price of the product. Depending on where you live, shipping will not be free. Hell, it won't even be cheap. Once you send your order ID and payment information, you'll then be sent back $122 to cover the first half. In order to receive the rest of your money, you must upload your video to Amazon as a review, as well as adding TZAudios in your video reviews title with links back to their website in the description. If for some reason Amazon rejects your video, the only way you'll be seeing the second half is if you hit some wacky numbers. Your long form video must receive at least 100 comments specifically talking about the microphone. YouTube Shorts, Lives, Facebook, and Reddit posts all have a requirement of 500 comments instead. Instagram and TikTok posts aren't counted for unknown reasons. Just to put that into perspective, my most viewed video with almost 500,000 views now still doesn't even have 500 comments, and a Reddit post I made back in the day with over 100,000 views had just a little under 200 comments. That's not to mention I doubt most of these comments were even talking about the same thing. If you still don't believe that this is a blatant scam, let me just read to you an excerpt from the same page. Do not start the procedure if your brain is full of fucking scamming shit. We hope to find the real artist, not a loser. Identify yourself. If you're a loser, go away. If you're an artist, be confident as you should be. I've dealt with many scammers in the past. A reoccurring theme with almost all of them has been their temper. They always get super aggressive when things don't go their way.
Fuck you, I knew you would have Oh, you knew I was a piece of shit, but you still believed me enough to call my number.
Even still, I genuinely don't know how you can read a sentence like that made by what's supposed to be a reputable company and not at the very least question their professionalism. I still did decide to respond to their email with some of my own questions, but we'll get into that in a second. Right now, I want to showcase to you the most idiotic play I've ever seen. Remember that scammer list I mentioned a second ago? Apparently, within the list, 34 individuals were hidden for what I could only assume to have been backlash or too many questions from other victims. Out of all the creators on the naughty list, there are 4 names that stand out as integral to the story: Caley, NZTV, Ivan Pesit, Mark, and Ben Carano, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Unlike the rest, these 4 have all publicly outed these assholes in one way or another, causing TZ to publish their email exchanges in its entirety for anyone to read on their site. However, they seem to be unaware of how shady and scummy these emails make them look. Let's start off with the conversation between Caley and a character only known as Joseph. In Caley's video, he states that the initial email offer he was sent made a critical error.
We've been your fans for a long time. Your music videos are amazing. We love them so much. So I did a video on this. I thought, oh, he hasn't watched my video because I just do a reaction.
You can see why they didn't bother showing that message on their site, even though Caley's confused response is literally right there. Now we also know why the wording in my email was a bit different, to avoid making the same mistake. Joseph replies with some copy and pasted response, to which Caley makes it clear that he will not be able to pay for shipping to New Zealand as COVID had affected his income. He also included his Wikipedia page and shared his video on how convoluted and confusing this offer was. Joseph responds with, wow. He was distraught that the market couldn't understand the word free mic. Rookie mistake, Joseph. I would know. I can explain this whole thing in just one word: escape room. He also throws in another offer, asking to have Caley link to their page on Wikipedia. They even add that Caley forgot to mention the naughty list in his video. Was that supposed to be some kind of threat? Anyways, this was about where Caley gracefully exited the conversation, but not before uploading 2 more videos to his channel, cementing his place on the podium. Speaking of Caley's video, he also showcased some of their Trustpilot reviews. Of course, they were all fraudulent. One of them even read, "I don't know who these guys are, but I know I can trust them." So originally when I wrote this video, Caley NZTV was known by that name on YouTube, but it seems like he went through a whole little rebrand, and that also included deleting the TZAudios videos except for part 1. So although we can see this initial email mistake, we unfortunately can't see the amazing Trustpilot reviews unless I find a working web archive link. Take my word for what that review said. I am genuinely not joking. I promise. Thankfully, those have all been removed from Trustpilot, but a lot of the fake reviews are still up on alternative review sites. Now we can move on to the conversation between Ivan and Drake. We open with Drake acting as goofy as always. At the bottom of this email, we're introduced to 2 other programs they run: You Play, I Pay, and their affiliate program. Their affiliate program is just your basic program. Create a link and get paid whenever someone purchases through that link. You Play, I Pay is a program where you're meant to create a TikTok style video, presumably using their product, which they would then upload onto their page. You'll get $5 for your video alone and an additional $3 for every 1,000 views it receives, with a maximum payout of $1,000. This is probably why their TikTok page has a shitload of videos, all of different people who I can only assume either bought into this or were nabbed from to give the illusion of demand. I also should mention that if a company refers to themselves as I instead of we, you should immediately know something isn't right. Ivan responds with the modern equivalent of a "that's crazy," forcing Drake to try and guilt trip him into signing on. It's funny how Ivan asks, "Which of my videos did you like? The one about your devilish scheme?" To which Drake just ignores the accusation and replies with, "I like this one." If it wasn't already obvious, Ivan knew this was a scam. Apparently he received their email in his spam folder, a luxury not offered to many of us since they change their emails regularly, though there always some like form or variation of @TZAudio.com. At this point, the fun just ends. Ivan goes nuts on Drake. I promise I wrote that joke before I knew about the leaks, okay? And even posted a short on them, cementing his spot on the podium. Now let's move on to Mark the Butcher versus Gabriella the Goliath. The funniest yet most unfortunate part of Mark's page is that they tried censoring his name in the emails, but at the top of the page they literally put his name in bold fucking letters. Do you want to hide the name or do you want us to remember it? Make up your mind. That's not even mentioning the fact that they straight up doxed the guy. I had to censor his shipping address because they decided it's not really worth their time, I guess. guess. Mark opens by expressing his interest in the offer while also dropping his shipping information. Terrible grammar and spelling aside, Gabriella responds by tossing him the link to the guide and affiliate program. Mark unfortunately still moves on with the offer and sends them his PayPal email while also placing his order. He then quickly makes it clear how uncertain he is of the whole thing. Gabriella tries calming his nerves by stating that he could, at any time, cancel the order. However, this probably only worried Mark even more, as she couldn't even spell refund or button. To everyone's surprise, they do send Mark an advance of $50, with the remaining $72 later down the line to cover the first half. Unfortunately though, Mark seemed to have trouble uploading his video to Amazon. Knowing he wouldn't be hitting that common threshold, he decides to start demanding his money, as he should. Gabriella of course responds with, "Why do you accept if you don't understand the terms, bozo?" and just asks him to return the microphone and money. Mark does something a little clever. He's going to keep the microphone, but leave a scathing review. Gabriella the Goliath, not knowing where to turn, made the ultimate move. She threatened to put him on the naughty list. In all seriousness, I do hope that Mark was able to return the product and even get an extra 100 on the side, though he did post his 1-star review, cementing his place on the podium. Now we can get into my favorite conversation between Ben and Audley. When I first looked at Ben's conversation, I felt like they were omitting some details that were pretty important to the story, which is why I decided to actually email Ben himself to see if he still had the original emails. Thankfully, he did in fact have a PDF of the entire chat log. Audley's opening email is the same old, not much to note. She also adds the naughty list straight from the get-go. Pretty bold move. Either way, Ben decides to pull a pretty smart move. He reached out to one of their alleged collaborators listed on their website, one Jacob Westfall. Jacob is a musician who recorded a song using their microphone, which was then uploaded to their channel. The problem is though, this channel and these scammers are not the same people. We'll get into that a little later. After unknowingly getting a false sense of security, Ben proceeds by sending them his PayPal email and purchasing the Stellar X3 microphone. Audley then asked Ben to send his PayPal email to proceed, which was strange as he had literally just sent it. Ben asks if they received his previous email, but Audley doesn't know how to communicate with anything other than Control-C and Control-V. This is where the conversation finally starts on their website. Either way, he again sends his PayPal email, which finally prompts a real response. It's funny to me how they used Audley claiming to get the $50 ready to send as Ben confirming that he has received the money. Regardless, Ben does receive his payment and provides his order number as per their protocol. Ben receives the microphone on the 29th of August, meaning that he'd be given up until the 28th of September to return the product in case things went south. He makes his review, uploads it to his channel and Amazon page, and waits for his second payment. However, even after an entire month, Ben is yet to receive anything. He reaches out as his return window is closing to at the very least clarify if he will be receiving his reimbursement, only to be met with crickets. After receiving not even a slight confirmation, Ben proceeded to just return the item and go about his day. It was only after he returned the product that they finally decided to send him his second payment, assuming that Ben would either cancel his return or so they could look like the victims. I'm leaning more towards the second one, as by the time Ben receives his money, the package would have already been fully returned. Since Ben didn't cancel his return, they were pissed, claiming that he had committed fraud and that his cunning arguments were futile. I don't know if they think that highlighting a portion of the text makes everything else magically disappear, but we can read Ben's entire argument literally right up here. Like I mentioned, he states that he returned the product simply because he was getting ghosted. The money they sent him should be considered as payment for the promotion he made for them. He even offers to refund their money so long as they return the microphone to him. However, Audley was already seeing red. They had just been scammed. Literally the phrase scammer gets scammed. And that's when Audley drops this bombshell. "We do things according to the terms. You violate the terms. The processing will go to its way. If it go to the scammer list, that is not something we want. That is something we want." She even threw in an extra "we do things according to the terms" like this was some kind of poetry. Although this was where the conversation ended on their website, the actual ending is just so much funnier. Ben threatens to publicly out these people, which is why he's on the podium, to which Audley calls him what I can only assume to have been loser and takes a jab at Ben's family. She then ends off with this banger: "This is such a proud moment. I can't help but give you a thumbs up. Do you think President Biden will award you the Presidential Medal of Freedom?" Even if Ben doesn't receive a medal, his contribution to society will always be remembered. Although that's the end of these amazing email chains, I want to quickly skim through my exchange with Cantor. I, of course, responded with my list of questions, as any normal skeptic would. Cantor responded by running around most of my extensive questions. He did at the very least claim that the language on their site reflects their sincere dedication to their products. If you put yourself in our shoes, imagining our sincerity being exploited, I doubt you remain calm either. Well, Mr. Cantor, the difference between you and me is that I'm a YouTuber and you're a company. I can say fuck whenever I want to, unless YouTube tells me not to. Hold on, my mistake. They are exempt from all professionalism because they are a technical team, not a PR team. Oh yes, that makes a lot of sense. I was originally going to play around with them, but after he took 5 days to respond, I really just didn't care anymore. I outright said to him, you guys literally doxed one of them, referring to Mark, but Cantor ignores this accusation and instead tries making me seem like the bad guy. Keeping things private is our bottom line. My actions have exposed my lack of integrity. You guys publicly shared someone's personal information. How am I the one with no integrity? The nerves of these people is outrageous. I again said that they were the ones that listed the private information, but Cantor refused to respond to the accusation. Anyways, most of our conversation was pretty uneventful, so I just sent them this picture and moved on with my life. The reason I took so long to make this video was because of their claim that they were in the process of revamping their website. I wanted to make sure that I didn't post this when everything was already different. However, it's been a month and the website is still the exact same, though they seem to have moved the scammer list to its own section as opposed to showing it on the front page. They even have a page dedicated to positive testimonials. It's literally just a single comment from Robert. Just Robert. Who the fuck is Robert? His entire testimonial is just gobbledygook. I refuse to believe this was a real comment and not written by them. Anyways, I guess it's time to just explain what this scam actually is. Not to mention the shadiness behind this entire brand. TZAudio Products is a brand in the business of selling professional microphones. Although TZAudio Products and TZAudios sound similar, they are technically not the same company. TZ is a distributor while TZAudio is the brand. A distributor is an entity whose entire job it is to get products from a company onto as many shelves as possible. For that reason, they really only focus on one thing, generating sales. If they fall below a projected minimum, they're cooked. If they go above and beyond, they usually receive bonuses or added royalties, not to mention a better track record and resume they can use as leverage. In Caley's video, there are a plethora of comments from creators who have received a similar email. It's obvious to see why now. Even if they aren't able to get their audience to purchase the product, they at least still get a sale from the creators thinking this is some sort of brand deal when it really isn't. Sure, they may not be getting as much money from the sale as they are still giving you back a little bit of money, but that's not to say that they aren't benefiting at the cost of the creator. When you search up a general product, Amazon has a tendency to list specific items as best sellers or even just promote highly rated products. Not to mention, how many times have you seen a product only to not purchase it because it has like less than 10 reviews? Amazon has also started listing products as having a high rate of returns, which is probably why they got so pissed at Ben, other than him taking their money, of course. Now, another question you might have is, does TZAudio Products know what their distributor, TZ, is doing to generate sales? I initially thought they were, but I am now 100% sure they are. You see, I originally made this video when only these 4 were on the podium. However, just recently, they decided to include 5 more creators. 4 of them, though, share a similar pattern. They make a video and TZAudio, not TZ, comments confirming that there was some sort of mistake. These guys aren't scammers, they are their actual distributors. Also, their actual official website lists all their products as pre-order date to be announced, meaning the only way to purchase them is through the Amazon page. Weird, isn't it? What company in their right mind wants to sell on a retailer who takes such a large cut as opposed to just their own website? Forget selling actually. Why would you list your product as pre-order when you're selling it on a different site? That doesn't make sense, does it? Unless this entire company is completely incompetent. Whether or not TZAudio are aware of what these guys are doing probably doesn't matter, as they really just don't care. Whether you like to believe it or not, a company's entire goal is to make money. No money, no salaries, no employees, no offices, no lights, no nothing, okay? What a distributor does in order to generate sales really doesn't matter so long as the company is making a profit. Why do you think Toyota was found selling cars to very bad people? They probably didn't know, but just didn't bother looking into it as they were still racking in those clams. That's just an example, by the way. I have no idea if that story went anywhere. I haven't read about it for a while. In the end, all of this comes with one major consequence if things were to get out. Brand perception. Nobody has ever made the claim that these microphones are bad. For all I know, they might be the best product on the market for their price. However, after learning all of this, I can only feel safe by avoiding this brand at all costs. I know I basically mean jack all. One dumbass not giving them 200 bucks isn't going to bankrupt their entire company, but at least I won't have to ever worry about wasting my money on people that don't deserve it. If you still want to go out and purchase their microphones, by all means, go ahead. I just want to make sure that you know who exactly you are supporting. A company who gains at the cost of exploiting smaller creators. I know you TZ assholes are watching this video. Put my emails on your site already, you cowards. They're pretty boring, but put them on there either way. You might have missed it, but I did ask them to put my emails on their site, but they refuse to do it because they don't want to give me the traffic. But I mean, hey, this will probably be their biggest motivation to do so. If you're new around here, I don't post non-gaming videos normally. I do gaming only, but I just decided this was such a funny ass story that I couldn't help but not make a video on it. Either way, if you like this video, feel free to check out my other videos. Thank you to every single one of my Pookie Club members. I love every single one of you. That's about all for me. Stay safe out there, and ciao ciao.